How Coco Gauff performed at the 2025 Australian Open after winning the United Cup. The first tournament of the 2026 tennis season is right around the corner. The United Cup is a team-based hard-court tennis tournament held in Australia, at the RAC Arena in Perth and Rosewall Arena in Sydney. The tournament, first held in 2022 as a replacement for the ATP Cup, features mixed-gender teams from 18 countries. The United Cup was first won by the United States. The U.S. team, featuring Taylor Fritz, Frances Tiafoe, Jessica Pegula and Madison Keys, defeated Italy 4-0 in the final. Fritz returned to the tournament this year alongside former U.S. Open champion Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff reached the Australian Open quarterfinals. Fritz and Gauff began the 2025 United Cup by leading the U.S. to wins against Canada and Croatia. In the quarterfinals, the pair completed a 3-0 victory against a Chinese team headlined by Zhang Zhizhen and Zhang Shuai. In the semi-finals, Gauff and Fritz failed to drop a set on the way to a 3-0 victory against Czechia. In the final, Fritz and Gauff continued their dominance, defeating Poland 2-0. Gauff beat Iga Swiatek 6-4, 6-4 and Fritz triumphed 6-4, 5-7, 7-6 against Huber Hurkacz. The U.S. team only lost one match in the entire tournament. In the group phase, Canada's Felix Auger-Aliassime defeated Fritz in 3 sets. Gauff, the highest-ranked player from North America on the WTA Tour, carried her form into the Australian Open, winning her first 4 rounds against Sofia Kenin, Jody Burrage, Leylah Fernandez and Belinda Bencic. The American was defeated in the quarterfinals by Spanish star Paula Badosa, 7-5, 6-4. Madison Keys won the tournament after defeating Aryna Sabalenka in the final. As for Taylor Fritz, he was stunned by Gael Monfils in the third round of the 2025 Australian Open, losing 3-6, 7-5, 7-6, 6-4. Coco Gauff and Taylor Fritz will look to defend their United Cup crown in 2026. Gauff and Fritz will return to Australia in 2026 to defend the title they won 12 months ago. Gauff and Fritz, who won 500 rankings points at the event earlier this year, will play teams from Spain and Argentina in the 2026 group stage. The Spanish team boasts Jaume Munar and Jessica Bouzas Monero, while Argentina will bring Sebastian Baez and Solana Sierra. Stan Wawrinka, who will retire from his playing career in 2026, is also set to compete at the United Cup, representing Switzerland. Rising in the summer sun, Coco Gauff at the 2025 Australian Open. At the dawn of 2025, Coco Gauff stood astride the tennis world not merely as a rising star but as a fierce contender with burgeoning authority. Fresh from an emphatic United Cup triumph with Team USA, where she dismantled elite opposition and toppled world number 2 Iga Swiatek in straight sets, Gauff arrived in Melbourne radiating confidence, momentum, and a new sense of purpose. Tennis.com+1. The United Cup victory in early January was more than just a team success, it was a personal milestone. Gauff dominated all her singles matches, refusing to drop a set en route to sealing the title and stamping her mark on the early hard-court season. Her straight sets victory over Swiatek, a player who had historically given her trouble, stood as a powerful declaration. She was not just present at the top of the sport, she was here to compete and conquer. Tennis.com. Arriving in Melbourne with that confidence and a growing reputation, the 2025 Australian Open became a stage where anticipation and expectation coalesced. Analysts and pundits alike ranked her among the favorites. Fresh from her United Cup form and carrying the confidence of a WTA Finals title from the previous year, Gauff was widely seen as an equal favorite in the women's draw. Forbes. Her campaign started with controlled authority. In the first round against Sofia Kenin, she moved smoothly through, blending powerful ground strokes with tactical acuity to secure a straight sets win and maintain her early momentum. Tennis.com in the second round, she continued to display her improved baseline aggression and court sense, overcoming Jody Burrage with a composed performance that highlighted both her tactical evolution and physical readiness. WTAfiles.wtatennis.com. By the third round, Gauff's form was unmistakable. Her victory over Leylah Fernandez was impressive. She controlled key phases with a firing forehand and resilient defense, a reminder of just how seamlessly she could blend power with poise. WTAfiles.wtatennis.com. Just as in Sydney, confidence seemed to be her greatest ally. The crowd watched as her movement remained crisp, her angles sharp, and her tactical clarity evident. Her energizing presence on Rod Laver Arena, whether in curtain-raising sessions or in the rising stakes of the later rounds, signaled a player increasingly comfortable in the spotlight. Tennis.com. Yet, in sport, form and fortune can diverge, and the Australian Open quarterfinal stood as a testament to both the promise and the challenge of elite competition. There, Gauff met Paula Badosa, the spirited Spaniard who had carved her own path through the draw with relentless intensity and fearless aggression. The match was billed as a high-stakes clash, two relentless competitors seeking a semi-final berth. Sky Sports. In a battle of contrasting styles, Gauff struggled to find the rhythm that had buoyed her earlier rounds. Her serve, usually a reliable weapon, became less consistent under Badosa's pressure. Unforced errors crept in, particularly on her forehand, as Badosa seized control of momentum and displayed fearless shot-making. In the end, Badosa claimed the match in straight sets, stunning the third seed and ending Gauff's Melbourne journey at the quarterfinal stage. Sky Sports. For many observers, the result was bittersweet. On the one hand, Gauff's run to the last 8 reinforced her status as one of the sport's most reliable performers at Grand Slams. On the other, exiting before the semifinals was a stark reminder that even the most inspired athletes can encounter days when the margins, already infinitesimal at the elite level, narrow even further. Yet there was no sense of collapse or defeat. Rather, her expression on court afterward carried a blend of frustration and resolve. Even in loss, there was a palpable hunger. Sky Sports. More than the result alone, what stood out was how Gauff handled the ebbs and flows of her Australian Open campaign. From her United Cup rampage to consistent stretches of powerful tennis in Melbourne, she showed a tactical maturity beyond her years and a mental hardiness that suggested her best moments were still on the horizon. More than a fleeting burst of early-season form, this was evidence of a player growing into a complete competitor on the biggest stages. The Guardian. Beyond Melbourne, the rest of Gauff's 2025 season continued to affirm her potential. She would go on to capture her second major title at Roland Garros, defeating the world number 1 in a thrilling final, and add to her growing list of accolades, further cementing her place among the sport's elite. Wikipedia. So when we reflect on her performance at the 2025 Australian Open, what emerges isn't simply wins or losses, but a narrative of evolution, a young champion propelled by confidence, tempered by competition, and ready to return with refinement and renewed purpose. Her journey through Melbourne, buoyed by that United Cup boost, became less about a trophy and more about transformation.